Chapter 1 I am Oscar. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tiendo Empire, Balak Kingdom, Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy is very poor. The entire academy was built by renting out half of the village. Compared with other advanced Soul Master academies, this place is simply incomparable. However, this small academy has gathered several powerful Soul Masters, the lowest of which are Soul Emperors. You know, a strong man at the Soul Emperor level is already a guest of many big forces, and Shrek Academy is so poor that there are actually several people gathered there. Flanders, the dean of Shrek Academy, is a genuine soul saint with a soul power as high as level 75, Vice Dean Zhao Wuji is also a soul saint with a soul power level of 73, and several other teachers are also Soul Emperor or above. In addition to the teachers, Shrek once again welcomed a new student. His name was Oscar, a student brought back by Flanders himself. The most important thing is that Oscar is a food-type soul master with innate soul power, and his martial soul is the supreme sausage, that is innate full soul power. And it is the innate full soul power of the food system. This has never appeared in the history of the Soul Master world. After all, it is difficult for auxiliary soul masters to practice. The food-type soul masters in the auxiliary system are even more difficult to cultivate. It is self-evident what this innate soul power means. Moreover, Oscar's admission also allowed the academy to reopen after the graduation of the previous class of students. It can be said that Oscar is the eldest brother of this class of students. After all, there is only Oscar as a student in the college. In the dormitory area of Shrek Academy, there was only a little boy with short silver hair in the huge room. The little boy leaned against the window and looked at the dense forest outside the window, thoughtfully. The little boy is called Oscar. He is Shrek's only student now, and he is very dear to all the teachers. At this time, Oscar's handsome little face was full of excitement. He looked out the window and couldn't calm down for a long time, because he had traveled through time. That's right, Oscar is no longer the original Oscar. Some god got bored and made Oscar, who was originally watching dramas in Blue Star, travel through time and become a member of the protagonist group. While watching the anime, Oscar saw many Taoist friends analyzing it, saying that among the Shrek 7 monsters, apart from Tang San and Xiao Wu, who had rebuilt the soul beast, Oscar might be the only one who could achieve this without the immortal herb. A person with the title Douluo. Nowadays, Oscar has become the popular topic of discussion. Fortunately, he has just awakened his martial spirit, and everything has just begun. In addition to being excited, Oscar's mind was filled with scenes that appeared in the original work, and he wanted to find some golden fingers of his own, because he only time travels with his soul and doesn't have any other plugins. I don't know what the idle burly guy thinks, but there are no plugins for time traveling. The only thing that may have allowed Oscar to achieve anything is his powerful soul power, or mental power. The average soul master must at least reach the Soul King realm before he can use his mental power, but now Oscar can do it, and his mental power is probably at the soul master level. However, this is still not as good as other people's plugins. At most, it only makes his thinking and reactions sharper. After all, Oscar himself is only an auxiliary soul master. Even if he has strong combat power in the later stages of the original work, that is still in the future. But what reassures Oscar is that even if he does nothing, he can follow the development of the original work and become a god in the end. This is quite gratifying. After all, he will be a god at worst in the future. However, Oscar is naturally unwilling to be so lonely. After all, he also has a prophetic perspective. Not to mention being the boss, he will never be someone else's younger brother in this life. Looking at the dazzling sunshine outside the window, Oscar's heart gradually became enthusiastic. Now that he is here, he will turn him upside down and be a person who can do whatever he wants in this life. Oscar himself was born with full soul power, so he only needed to obtain a soul ring to become a soul master. So Oscar also carefully planned his soul skills. After careful consideration, Oscar felt that his soul skills could be similar to those in the original work, because those soul skills were very practical and powerful soul skills. The only thing that made Oscar feel bad was that he had no attack ability in the early stage, but now that he has come to Shrek Academy, Oscar is not worried about not having attack methods in the future. After all, although Tang San is not very nice to outsiders, he has nothing to say to his friends. He shouldn't be stingy with those hidden weapons. However, Oscar is also deeply aware of the importance of his own strength. For example, in the original work, Oscar copied Tang San's twin spirits, but was unable to use the clear sky hammer. Why? Because my physical fitness is not up to it, therefore, Oscar will not fall behind in his own training. This is also to avoid copying other people's martial arts and being unable to use them in the future. After all, in the original work, he can exert the power of other people's martial arts. Moreover, Oscar himself can also take his own sausage. Under the double amplification, Oscar is completely an almighty soul master. After all, he can copy any martial soul. Just when Oscar was looking out the window and thinking, there was a knock on the door, and the carefree voice of Vice Dean Zhao Wuji came. "Xiao Ao, today I will accompany you to the Star Do Forest to get the soul ring. Let's go." Hearing Zhao Wuji's voice, Oscar agreed and opened the door and followed Zhao Wuji out. After all, he had nothing to pack, because in his memory he was an orphan and his parents had died many years ago. Zhao Wuji is now at level 73, and 8 years later he will be level 76. This achievement is not low. In the future, he will break through to the Contra level, and his talent is quite satisfactory. At least in this era, a soul saint can already walk sideways. Isn't it easy to help Oscar find the first soul ring? The Balik Kingdom is not far from the Great Star Forest, only half a month away. This is still on foot. If you take a carriage, you can get there in a week. As for why he didn't go to the soul-hunting forest, Flanders said it was to train the students' willpower, but Oscar knew that this old boy Flanders was just poor, and he couldn't enter without the soul-hunting forest's token. However, the Star Do Forest also has advantages. After all, it is the largest soul beast forest with a complete range of soul beasts. Almost all soul masters can obtain satisfactory soul rings here. Of course, the premise is that you can beat it. Fortunately, Flanders is still humane. Considering that Oscar is still young and is a food soul master, this time he and Zhao Wuji went by carriage and arrived at Star Do University in just 1 week. A small town outside the forest, Zhao Wuji and Oscar rested in the town for a night, and entered the Star Forest early the next day, trying to get a soul ring for Oscar as soon as possible, and then return to the academy. Because Zhao Wuji paid for the whole process by himself, Oscar doesn't have a penny now, and the tuition is all owed, and Flanders is even more stubborn, so Zhao Wuji feels miserable. New book released. Begging for support. It's coming, please give me your recommendation vote. Please collect it. Chapter 2 The First Soul Ring, Sausage Auction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oscar positions his first soul skill as a recovery type. The first soul skill in the original work is very effective. After taking the sausage, it will restore physical strength, soul power and repair injuries within a period of time. This is actually very powerful. The recovery effect may not be as good as a single auxiliary soul master, but overall it is not bad, and it is an all-round recovery. It is definitely a very powerful first soul skill. What's more, as Oscar's strength increases, the recovery effect of this skill will also increase, which can be regarded as a skill that can be upgraded and strengthened in disguise. After entering the Star Forest, Oscar put forward his own ideas, and Zhao Wuji heard the same thing. After all, several of their teachers also discussed Oscar's choice of soul skills when they came here. With his goal clear, Zhao Wuji took Oscar towards the location where the recovery soul beast was likely to appear. Zhao Wuji was quite familiar with the Star Do Forest because he came here every time he obtained a soul ring. I have to say that Oscar's luck is really good. Zhao Wuji found a 430-year-old blood demon silkworm on a 200-year-old emerald green shirt. This kind of soul beast can be said to be extremely suitable for Oscar, and its age is just right. Zhao Wuji directly took down the blood demon silkworm and threw it in front of Oscar. This blood demon silkworm is 430 years old, but it is only less than 30 centimeters. It can be said to be a very small spirit beast. Looking at the blood demon silkworm in front of him, Oscar took out the dagger from his arms and killed it without any hesitation. This was natural selection, and Oscar had no choice. As a yellow soul ring lit up, Oscar couldn't help but feel excited again. He would soon be a soul master, which was a power he had never experienced before. Sitting cross-legged, with Zhao Wuji guiding him, Oscar's process of absorbing the soul ring was extremely smooth. 3 hours later, a bright yellow soul ring was already floating on Oscar's body. Oscar took a long breath, stood up, clenched his powerful fists, and sighed in his heart, "Is this a soul master?" Who Oscar did not restrain his soul power, and a full 12 levels of soul power fluctuations were transmitted to Zhao Wuji, who looked at Oscar in surprise. "Xiao Ao, your soul power has actually reached level 12. You are indeed a genius with innate soul power." Zhao Wuji praised. "Thanks to teacher Zhao for finding a suitable soul ring for me, my soul skills are also very powerful." Oscar replied with a smile. In fact, if Oscar hadn't traveled through time when he awakened his martial soul and didn't have time to train his body, the lifespan of his first soul ring might have been increased, but even so, Oscar was very satisfied, because he didn't have much experience absorbing the soul ring for the first time, and there was no need to take risks. As for absorbing soul rings by skipping levels, as long as I work hard and practice hard, it shouldn't be a big problem in the future. "Xiao Ao, tell me about your soul skills." Zhao Wuji nodded and asked. "The first soul skill, Super Restoration Big Sausage." Oscar directly activated his soul power. The yellow soul ring shone with light, and he already had a sausage in his hand. "Teacher Zhao, my first soul skill is called the Super Recovery Big Sausage. The effect is that after taking the sausage, the soul power, physical strength, mental strength, and injuries will continue to recover for a period of time." Oscar handed the sausage in his hand to Zhao Wuji explained, "The talent of this blood demon silkworm is very strong, and the effect of my soul skill is also very strong." Zhao Waoqi took Oscar's super recovery sausage, and then felt it carefully. A surprised smile soon appeared on his face, and he said excitedly, "Xiao Ao, you are a real genius. But with my current soul power, I can only make 10 at most." Oscar added. 10. Zhao Wuji was surprised. "Isn't that enough? 10 super recovery sausages, if the team works together, they can be a life-saving talisman." Zhao Wuji said angrily. After obtaining his favorite soul ring, Oscar happily followed Zhao Wuji back. A week later, Oscar and Zhao Wuji returned to the academy, but what surprised Oscar was that his soul curse was no longer as obscene as in the original work. This was something he should be happy about. After all, Oscar was also a person who cared about his image. Oscar started his own devil training when he returned to the academy. During the week after he came back, he tried to meditate and practice. Then he compared it with Zhao Wuji at the same time and found that at the same level, food-type soul masters were better than other soul masters. It can be more difficult for a teacher to practice. In terms of cultivation speed, Oscar is 1/3 behind, and it is this 1/3 that requires Oscar to put in more effort. After returning to the academy, Oscar first had a serious discussion with teacher Xiao Xian. After all, he was a soul master in the food department, and he was also a genius among them. Xiao Xian is 40 years old this year, and his soul power has reached level 67. Such an achievement is beyond the reach of many people, not to mention that he is also a food-type soul master. Xiao Xian also has a lot of experience in the cultivation of food-based martial arts, which is very useful to Oscar. After all, there are many other people's experiences that are worth learning from. As a teacher, Xiao Xian did not skimp on his knowledge at all, and explained to Oscar the characteristics and cultivation methods of the food-type soul master. However, Oscar did not simply train himself as a food-type soul master. He knew in his heart that if he wanted to make a breakthrough, it was not enough to just assist others. The next few days will consist of theoretical classes in the morning, because although he is familiar with the original work, he has not systematically learned the knowledge of this world, and now is the time to make up for it. In the afternoon, Oscar trained on his own, and because Li Yusong was the only soul master in the academy who had an attack weapon spirit, Oscar also made an iron rod and practiced the stick technique with Li Yusong. Normally, he mainly focuses on exercising his body and cultivating his soul power, followed by the stick method. However, Oscar doesn't have a soul guide, so he can't put things away, but Oscar is also a soul master now. Originally, Oscar planned to register as a soul master. After all, he would get a gold soul coin every month, but Flanders wouldn't let him. The innate full soul power of the auxiliary system was too powerful, and Flanders also had his own selfish motives, so he didn't let Oscar go, at least until he was 10 years old. Oscar didn't care. After all, this was a disguised form of protection for him. If he was taken away by Wuhuan Palace now, he might not know what would happen in the future. It's not that he has to stay and lick Tang San, but because now he doesn't have any power support except for the advantage of foresight. Therefore, in order to ensure that the future structure and plot will not be affected, Oscar still plans to follow the development of the original work step by step for the time being. If he is lucky enough to get some opportunity in the future, it is not too late to make plans. After all, even if he continues to develop step by step, he will still have a guaranteed status as a god in the future. However, although there is no income from registering as a soul master, Oscar himself has thought of a way to make money, which is to sell his own sausages, but not ordinary sausages like in the original work. Instead, he went to the auction house to auction his first soul skill, Super Recovery Sausage. The current storage time is 7 days. Compared with other food-type soul masters, this time is relatively long, and the effect is better than most potions. So many low-level soul masters are still in great need, and this time is only temporary. As Oscar's strength improves in the future, his sausages will be stored longer. Therefore, Oscar would make 10 sausages every day and let Flender auction them off. However, after all, Oscar's sausages would only benefit a small number of people, and they would not be of much use to high-level soul masters, but even so, Oscar's sausages can bring him some considerable profits every month. It's just that although the 10 sausages brought him gold soul coins, although Flanders, a profiteer, did not exploit Oscar, he still collected 10 gold soul coins every month as travel expenses, and Oscar had no objection. But the tuition will be deducted from it in the future, and I won't have to pay it. However, Flanders still suggested that Oscar should not put his sausages out for auction. After all, this is a soul master's trump card. If everyone knew it, it would no longer be a trump card, but Oscar doesn't care. After all, this is just restoring sausages. It doesn't matter even if it is known. As long as it is not a particularly powerful soul skill, Oscar plans to make a living by auctioning sausages in the future. After all, this way he would not expose himself. Martial spirits are all kinds of strange, and there are all kinds of martial spirits. No one would suspect that a sausage with such a powerful effect came from a 6-year-old child. Unless Oscar commits suicide to expose himself, but Oscar is not stupid. Every time the sausages are auctioned, Flender makes them, and he is only responsible for the behind the scenes. It has to be said that with Oscar's current soul power level, if he could make 10 super recovery sausages every day and put them up for auction, that would be 300 sausages a month. With such a terrifying amount accumulated, Oscar gradually became rich. Xiao Xian was also inspired by Oscar and put his own auxiliary and restorative soul skills jelly beans up for auction. Xiao Xian was a high-level soul emperor. Even if his soul skills were useless to it has a huge effect on the powerful soul emperor, and the minimum storage time can be more than 1 month, and the 10,000-year level soul skill jelly beans can be stored for a full 3 months. With this income, Shrek Academy, which was originally unable to make ends meet, suddenly had a huge source of income, which made Flender extremely excited. This point also made Oscar a little stunned. It should be particularly easy for a soul master to make money. Oscar could not imagine why the Shrek Academy in the original work was so poor. Maybe Xiao Xian didn't expect to be able to use his jelly beans to auction. But Oscar doesn't care about this anymore. Now that he is Oscar, naturally he can't be stupid and inactive like the original. He wants to improve his strength as much as possible and then enjoy it. As for the worry that Xiao Xian's soul skills will be exposed, there is no such thing. The soul skill jelly beans that Xiao Xian is currently auctioning are common for recovery and treatment. It doesn't matter even if outsiders know about them. He didn't use the powerful soul skills at all, however, because the Soto City auction house suddenly had an auction item that can benefit even the powerful soul emperor level. This naturally caused an uproar. It can be useful to even the powerful soul emperor level. Tungdo, then the minimum strength of the producer must be a strong soul emperor. Fortunately, Xiao Xian has no enemies and no one cares about him. In short, since Oscar got off to a good start, Shrek Academy has also begun to become wealthy. Please give me your recommendation vote. Collect. If you are interested, please comment and speak boldly if you have any ideas. Chapter 3 Ma Hongjun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the courtyard of the dormitory area of Shrek Academy, a 1.5-meter tall silver-haired boy was dancing with a long iron stick that reached his eyebrows in his hand, with clear instructions, and every attack was carried with overwhelming momentum. After a long time, a set of stick skills was completed, and the silver-haired boy's right hand flashed with silver light, and the long iron stick that reached the eyebrows just disappeared. The boy came to the table, picked up the water glass, and took a sip of the cold drink. Watermelon juice. The boy is Oscar. Now 2 years have passed. Oscar has grown taller and more handsome. There are beads of sweat hanging on his cold and handsome face, which adds a bit of charm. Oscar is now 8 years old. In the past 2 years, Oscar has not slacked off at all. Now his soul power has reached level 18. Yes, it has increased by 6 levels in 2 years. Such an achievement is difficult for ordinary attack-type soul masters to achieve, but Oscar did it. This is not a miracle, but the result of Oscar's hard work. Oscar was born with full soul power. Even if the food-type soul master's cultivation speed was slow, he would at least be much faster than the average food-type soul master. In the past 2 years, in addition to paying attention to physical fitness, Oscar has never relaxed at all in the cultivation of soul power. From the moment he obtained the soul ring, from the moment he made 10 sausages every day to exhaust his soul power and start practicing again, he never stopped. Until now, Oscar has been able to make 20 sausages at a time and still have some spare time, and in return, Oscar has made great progress. 2 years of continuous hard work kept his soul power from stagnating, and he continued to improve at a rate of 3 levels in 1 year. Oscar can be sure that if he continues to keep up, he will be able to break through level 20 before he is 9 years old, and even break through level 30 at the age of 12. It's just that the soul master's practice becomes slower the further he goes, so Oscar's practice speed will be slower as he goes later, but Oscar doesn't worry. The worst case can be solved by taking fairy herbs. The accumulated money earned from selling the super-restoring sausages and Xiao Xian's jelly beans that Oscar has made every day for 2 years has already reached astronomical prices. As his strength increases, the effect of the super recovery sausage also increases. Even if Oscar himself does not increase the price, his sausage is auctioned, and someone will always increase the price for him. What's more, there are also Xiao Xian's jelly beans and his sausages being auctioned together. In order to make more profits, Flanders even used Oscar's sausages as gifts after the auction of Xiao Xian's jelly beans, making Xiao Xian's jelly beans sell better and better. This is how the storage soul guide on Oscar's right index finger came from. Nowadays, Oscar has no shortage of money. It can be said that he has no worries about food and drink. The storage soul guide on Oscar's right index finger is 5 cubic meters in size. It is silver-white in color and matches his hair color and clothing very well. Although this storage soul guide is not large, it is enough to store some commonly used supplies. This is money he earned himself. Oscar is a grateful person. Now that he has money, the food at the academy has also improved. In the past 2 years, Oscar has given the academy a total of 10,000 gold soul coins. Although there is already Xiao Xian, a money-grabbing expert, Oscar is also making his own contribution to the college. He spent his own money to improve his own dormitory. And with money, even if the city lords of Flanders and Soto City don't deal with it, the situation of Shrek Academy will get better. Although it is still in the village, the environment has changed. Today's Shrek Academy is different from the popular Soul Master Academy, and the teaching environment has a bit of a paradise. This kind of environment makes Oscar feel comfortable. After all, there is fresh air and beautiful environment every day. If he wants to go shopping, he can just go to Soto City, but the only drawback is that there is still only one student in Shrek Academy today, Oscar. Although the environment of the academy has improved, the requirements have not been reduced at all. In the past 2 years, there has not been a single student who meets the requirements, therefore, there is still only one student in the academy, Oscar, who enjoys the individual instruction of several teachers. It was already morning after Oscar finished playing a set of stick skills. At this time, the sun had begun to emerge. Oscar washed his face before going to the cafeteria for breakfast. Because there were sufficient funds, Xiao Xian made a rich breakfast. After all, there were only a few people in the college and they couldn't eat much. Oscar took a roast chicken, 2 eggs, 3 steamed buns, and a cup of hot milk. This was his breakfast. Because he has always paid attention to physical exercise, Oscar's appetite is quite large, but the rewards are proportional to his efforts. Now Oscar's physical fitness is as good as or even stronger than the average beast martial soul masters of the same level. Coupled with Oscar's dragon mark stick technique, Oscar can even fight with ordinary attack-type soul masters. After breakfast, Oscar came to Zhao Wuji's yard, because Oscar had already finished the ordinary training, and it would be of little use to continue doing it. Now Oscar is training under Zhao Wuji's gravity suppression, which can also have the effect of getting twice the result with half the effort. Zhao Wuji is also happy to see the students grow, not to mention that Oscar is now the only genius student in the academy, but when Oscar came to Zhao Wuji's yard, he discovered that Zhao Wuji was not there. This made him confused. Zhao Wuji shouldn't have been away at this time in the past. At this time, Zhao Wuji should be sitting on the sofa, waiting for him, and then give himself a set of combination punches, which is called training himself. Oscar didn't find Zhao Wuji, so he went to Flanders. After all, only Flanders would be lazy enough to let Zhao Wuji do everything. When Oscar came to Flanders' yard, he happened to see Zhao Wuji talking to Flanders, and there was a little fat man beside him, his little eyes rolling around not knowing what he was thinking. "Dean, Teacher Zhao, why are you all here? Who is this?" Oscar asked. In fact, Oscar already guessed who this little fat man was when he saw him. Isn't he the future evil fire phoenix Ma Hongjun? Xiao Ao, Lao Zhao and I are planning to find you. This is your junior, a new student of the academy. His name is Ma Hongjun, and he is also a genius like you. Flandre took Ma Hongjun and introduced him to Oscar. When little Ma Hongjun heard Flanders say he was a genius, he raised his head arrogantly. "Hello, new junior, my name is Oscar." Oscar greeted Ma Hongjun. While Oscar was looking at Ma Hongjun was also looking at Oscar with his wandering eyes. He realized that the silver-haired little brother in front of him was so handsome. Looking at Oscar's curvy figure, Ma Hongjun was filled with envy. "Hello, senior, just call me Hongjun from now on." Ma Hongjun looked at Oscar and said. "By the way, Dean, you said Hongjun is a genius. What level is he at now?" Oscar asked Flandre. "I just awakened his martial soul today. His innate soul power is level 9, and the martial soul is a top-level fire attribute martial soul. Although his innate soul power is not as good as yours, his talent is not bad either." Flanders and Oscar explained. Hearing Flanders' words, the way the little fat man Ma Hongjun looked at Oscar suddenly changed. His innate 9th-level soul power was not as good as that of this senior named Oscar. Is the other party innately full of soul power? No wonder the teacher said before that their Shrek Academy was a monster academy that only accepted monsters. This monster was not a monster as Ma Hongjun understood it, but a genius. The reason why Ma Hongjun directly called Flanders teacher in his heart was because Flanders accepted him as his disciple after awakening his martial spirit for him, so Ma Hongjun followed Flanders back. It seems that the dean is really discerning. He brought back a genius from such a trip. Oscar smiled at Flanders. "Since you are here, Xiao Ao, you should first take Hongjun to get familiar with the college, and take him to his dormitory and tidy up the dormitory." Flanders said again. Oscar was helpless. This old man just liked to boss people around. Oscar took Ma Hongjun around the academy honestly. Today's Shrek Academy is no longer the Shrek Academy 2 years ago. Although the scope has not increased, the environment has changed. Compared to the past, Ma Hongjun, who was born in a rural area, had never seen such a beautiful place. Thinking that this would be the place where he would study in the future, Ma Hongjun began to look forward to it. while chatting with the handsome senior, Ma Hongjun became more and more curious about this senior. However, Aussie did not expect that Ma Hongjun was actually a talkative person. He talked to Ma Hongjun about the situation of the college, and the two of them went shopping without knowing it. One morning. Finally, Oscar took Ma Hongjun to the cafeteria, and after a delicious meal, he took him back to the dormitory. Oscar doesn't like living with other people, even if he now has a large room to himself, so Ma Hongjun could only clean up a room by himself. "Brother Ao, you don't look much older than me, right?" Ma Hongjun asked suddenly while cleaning up the room for Ma Hongjun. "I am 8 years old, 2 years older than you," Oscar replied. 8 years old. Hearing this answer, Ma Hongjun was a little surprised, because Oscar acted much more mature, at least in his teens, right? In addition, Oscar usually exercises a lot, eats well, and is already 1.5 meters tall, while Ma Hongjun is only 1.2 meters, so he feels that Oscar should be much older than him. "Brother Ao, what is your martial spirit?" "My martial spirit is the phoenix. I call it the evil fire phoenix." Ma Hongjun asked again. When Oscar took Ma Hongjun to visit the Familiarization Academy before, he did not discuss the issue of martial arts. Firstly, Oscar already knew what Ma Hongjun's martial spirit was. Secondly, Ma Hongjun did not take the initiative to mention it, so Oscar did not talk about it. Now that Ma Hongjun has asked, Oscar will naturally not hide it. After all, in Oscar's plan, this is his future assistant. "I am an auxiliary systems soul master, my martial soul is the supreme sausage, and I am an 18th level auxiliary systems soul master," Oscar replied while spreading the quilt for Ma Hongjun. In addition to animal spirits, other spirits including but not limited to plants, food, and implements are collectively called weapon spirits, so Oscar is an auxiliary weapon spirit master. Assistant Department, Level 18. Ma Hongjun was a little surprised. Although he doesn't know much, there are some people in the village who understand. He knows that the auxiliary soul master is the most difficult to cultivate. The senior Oscar in front of him is only 8 years old, but his soul power has already reached level 18. Ma Hongjun was secretly surprised in his heart. Was he indeed a senior who was more talented than himself? In his heart, Ma Hongjun already regarded Oscar as someone with innate soul power, which was actually the case. There's nothing surprising. As long as you work hard enough, nothing is impossible. Oscar turned his head and looked at the surprised Ma Hongjun and said, "Please collect and recommend." Tai Ji Meng can comment more. If you have votes, please help me vote. Chapter 4 Learning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oscar had thought that Ma Hongjun in the original work was too indulgent, and even Flanders, a teacher, did not discipline him properly. After all, he was obsessed with going to the fence at the age of 12 and not caring about it, and judging from the description in the original work, Ma Hongjun estimated that he might have gone shopping in Gulan before he was 12 years old. Although people in Douluo Continent are precocious, this would be too early. Oscar felt that this indulgent education method was simply a waste of Ma Hongjun's talent. Although Ma Hongjun's martial arts was flawed, it was not impossible to remedy it. Moreover, Ma Hongjun's soul power level is still relatively low now, so the evil fire cannot be manifested at all. Even if it occurs, it can be suppressed by beating the body or practicing directly in the river in the early stage. Moreover, this can also hone his willpower. It can be said that if used well, it will definitely be a training aid. In the later stage, if an ice-type soul master can be found to cooperate, the evil fire will not be a problem at all. However, the problem is that people like Flanders do not seem to have thought of a solution, but let Ma Hongjun solve it by himself. Naturally, Oscar in this life cannot let Ma Hongjun be such a waste. After all, Ma Hongjun's talent is really not low. As long as the evil fire problem is solved, Ma Hongjun is still a malleable talent. Moreover, there is an immortal herb in the ice and fire eyes that can solve Ma Hongjun's evil fire problem. Even if Oscar himself can't get it, if he stays at Shrek Academy, that boy Tang San will come sooner or later. Thinking like this, Oscar felt that he needed to give Ma Hongjun a good lesson, but not now. After all, he had just come to the academy, so he would wait a few days before talking. After cleaning up the room for Ma Hongjun, Oscar went to find Zhao Wuji to practice. Training under the pressure of gravity every day has become an indispensable part of Oscar's practice. After all, becoming stronger does not happen overnight, but requires accumulation over time. Moreover, Oscar knows the importance of physical fitness to a soul master. Before absorbing a 10,000-year soul ring, the limit of a soul master's ability to absorb a soul ring is basically determined by physical fitness. The so-called soul ring limit is only a theoretical existence. Oscar's soul time was when he awakened his martial soul. At that time, his physical fitness could no longer be improved in a short period of time, so his first soul ring was only 430 years old, but it's different now. In the past 2 years, the Oscar has never fallen behind in daily practice, and he has been striving to improve his physical fitness in order to be able to absorb soul rings beyond the next level. In this way, when he obtains the second soul ring, he can absorb the soul ring of a higher age and infinitely amplify his talent and potential. It was already afternoon after practicing at Zhao Wuji's place. Ma Hongjun was already familiar with the academy and was following Flanders to the cafeteria for dinner. Xiao Ao, your tenacity is the best among all the students I have ever seen. Hongjun, you should learn more from Xiao Ao. Flanders saw Oscar coming to the cafeteria and said to Ma Hongjun. I like to hear what the dean said. From now on, this boy will be left to me. I promise to take care of him. Oscar took over. Teacher Xiao, let's have a bowl of braised pork. After talking to Flanders, Oscar shouted to Xiao Xian who was busy. Okay, I've prepared it for you a long time ago. Xiao Xian brought a bowl of fragrant braised pork with a smile, and his fat round face looked very friendly. Thank you, Teacher Xiao. Oscar took the braised pork and said. Ma Hongjun looked at Oscar's large bowl of braised pork, his mouth watering, but he was too embarrassed to speak. Oscar saw Ma Hongjun's appearance, smiled and evened it out for him, and said, this is the treatment of a good student. Teacher Xiao likes students who are studious the most. As long as you study hard, Teacher Xiao will make you any delicious food you want. Flanders was suppressing a laugh on the side, thinking that this kid had another trick to deceive people, and it was also a trick that was beneficial to him, a newly recruited disciple, so Flanders didn't expose it, but this is also true. Oscar's current meals are specially customized for him by Xiao Xian, and he even adds extra meals occasionally, and because of Oscar's extraordinary talent, every week Flanders and Zhao Waoqi would catch Oscar a soul beast that was at least 100 years old to add to Oscar's meal, which greatly laid a better foundation for Oscar. Really? Ma Hongjun asked while eating meat. After dinner, Oscar walked alone in the academy. The 2 hours in the afternoon were his only leisure time. After all, cultivation also requires a balance between work and rest. At this time, Ma Hongjun jumped out of nowhere and followed Oscar. After all, Ma Hongjun is only 6 years old, and he is still a child at heart. Oscar is the only one of his age in the entire academy, so naturally he wants to be close to him, even if he just met him today. Brother Ao, what are you doing? Ma Hongjun came up and said. Go for a walk. If you take a walk after dinner, you can live 99 years. Oscar replied. Ah, this. Ma Hongjun felt a black line on his forehead, thinking to himself, isn't this the style of the old men in the village? Hongjun, take a good rest today and train with me tomorrow. Oscar patted Ma Hongjun on the shoulder and said. Okay. Ma Hongjun replied after thinking for a moment. At night, Oscar can already practice instead of sleeping, which is one of the reasons why his soul power has improved rapidly. On the other side of the door, Ma Hongjun was tossing and turning on the small bed. His first day at school made him curious about many things, and he, as a senior, was not simple. He was a genius with innate soul power, now he was sure. This was confirmed by asking his teacher Flanders. The next day, Oscar got up early to do some exercise. First he did a 10-kilometer cross-country run with weights, and then he did a few sets of dragon mark stick techniques. This stick technique was taught by Lingyu Sword Sect. Although it is not a powerful skill, it is enough for fighting enemies and protecting oneself nowadays. Ma Hongjun, on the other hand, slept until midnight. After all, he had been unable to sleep due to being too excited last night. When he fell asleep, it was difficult to wake up. On Ma Hongjun's first day of school, none of the Flanders teachers called him. By the time Ma Hongjun woke up naturally, Oscar was already reading in the classroom. The classroom was very simple, but full of scholarly atmosphere. The classroom was a small room with 30 seats. Teacher Luo Qiansun is responsible for teaching theoretical and cultural knowledge. Luo Qiansun can be regarded as an intellectual. He has a thorough understanding of many theories and has solved many problems for Oscar. However, after 2 years, Oscar has learned almost everything there is to learn. Now the books he comes here to read are some of the books Oscar bought himself in the past 2 years, of various genres. Oscar pays great attention to medical books and books on pharmacological knowledge. Although he has read the original books and knows the functions of some fairy herbs, it is better to learn some pharmacological knowledge to be prepared. If there is a chance to come into contact with Dugu'ao or Lonely Yen in the future, he can also do it himself. Go give it a try. Ma Hongjun came to the classroom, saw Oscar who was reading seriously, and walked over. Oscar noticed Ma Hongjun coming over, raised his head and asked, "Are you up?" "Hey, I was too excited last night and didn't sleep well. I got up late." Ma Hongjun said with a smile. "It's okay. This is only the first day. I'll take you to a practical class in the afternoon." After saying that, Oscar lowered his head and continued reading. "There are also practical lessons. Aren't you an auxiliary soul master? Do you still need to fight?" Ma Hongjun said with some surprise. "Who said that auxiliary soul masters can't fight? I'll show you this afternoon." Oscar said while looking at the book. Ma Hongjun looked incredulous, but he didn't ask any more questions, said hello to Luo Qiansun, and then picked up a book and started reading. Luo Qiansun saw Ma Hongjun taking the initiative to read, so he took Ma Hongjun aside to go to class. He originally planned to let Ma Hongjun get familiar with the college before taking class, but seeing that Ma Hongjun was so diligent, it seemed that he didn't have to wait. Ma Hongjun didn't show much, he just wondered why Oscar didn't have to go to class. Luo Qiansun told him that Oscar has learned everything he needs to learn in the past 2 years. Now Oscar studies independently without the supervision of a teacher. This makes Oscar's image in Ma Hongjun's mind even higher. In the afternoon, Oscar carried an iron stick and took Ma Hongjun to Zhao Wuji's place and began to practice. Practicing under the pressure of Zhao Wuji's gravity can be said to be twice the result with half the effort. Now Oscar's physical fitness has surpassed that of a fighting spirit master of the same level. "Teacher Zhao, practice with me and let the new students see our Shrek education method," Oscar suggested. Zhao Wuji did not refuse, and laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, okay, Xiao Ao, let me see if you have regressed recently." Zhao Wuji cancelled the gravity suppression, put one hand behind his back, and waved to Oscar without even releasing his martial spirit. It's not that Zhao Wuji is arrogant, but Oscar is really weak now. He doesn't have a powerful attacking spirit, and the only sharp weapon is the iron stick in his hand. Zhao Wuji is a soul saint, and his physical fitness alone can crush Oscar. Please collect and recommend. Chapter 5 Ma Hongjun's First Soul Ring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "Teacher Zhao, be careful," Oscar reminded in a low voice, holding a stick in his hand. Zhao Wuji looked at Oscar with a smile. Without any unnecessary movement, Oscar dived forward, lowered his body, and dragged the iron stick towards him with surging momentum. Zhao Wuji took a rare look at Oscar, but it was only because he did not feel that Oscar could pose a threat to him. "Call!" The iron stick swiped heavily in Oscar's hand and struck Zhao Wuji's iron head with the sound of wind. Zhao Wuji raised his right hand and directly grasped the iron rod. Then he pulled hard, and Oscar's body suddenly leaned forward, his center of gravity unstable. Oscar's heart was calm, and he had already expected that Zhao Wuji would directly use force to suppress others, so Oscar was well prepared. Oscar used his strength to jump up directly. The iron stick in his hand rotated and was pulled out of Zhao Wuji's hand. His whole body turned 180 degrees in the air and fell down. During the fall, Oscar exerted force in his hand again, and the iron stick fell toward Zhao Wuji's head, which also slowed down the speed of his body's fall. "You brat, You are trying to get into trouble with me, old Zhao. Zhao Wuji chuckled, then Zhao Wuji protected his head with both hands, blocking Oscar's attack. Zhao Wuji only squatted down slightly and completely blocked Oscar's iron stick. Oscar withdrew his iron stick, then took 2 steps back to avoid Zhao Wuqi's fist. Zhao Wuqi quickly bullied him, giving Oscar no chance to react. The iron rod in Oscar's hand moved across his chest to block. Zhao Wuji's fist was so powerful that Oscar flew backwards. Oscar reacted quickly, holding one end of the iron rod and using the other end to use the hoe. He jumped up again, and his legs burst out with huge power and rushed towards Zhao Wuji. Facing an opponent with high defense and high offense like Zhao Wuji, defense is of little use. Only offense is the best defense. Ma Hongjun on the side looked at Oscar, who became more and more courageous as he fought. He was stunned. Is this an auxiliary soul master? Why does it feel like he fights harder than an attack-type soul master? The current Oscar is even stronger than the attack-type soul masters of the same level. Of course, this is without using soul skills, but even so, Oscar is still powerless when facing Zhao Wuqi, and many of his skills are worse than a stick for Zhao Wuqi. Because Zhao Wuji's skin is too thick, those skills are basically useless. Looking back at the original work, Tang San only used the awesome dragon beard needle and clear sky hammer to hurt Zhao Wuji's defense. Oscar didn't have those hidden weapons, but thinking of this, Oscar thought he could go shopping in Flanders' small shop. Maybe he could find some treasure. At the end of the sparring session, Oscar was a little exhausted, but his injuries were not serious. Although he did not hurt Zhao Wuji, he did an excellent job of defending Zhao Wuji's fists, and he was basically uninjured. After eating a sausage he had stored, most of Oscar's physical strength was restored. Although his soul power was somewhat consumed, it was not much. A super restoring sausage directly restored it to full strength. Ma Hongjun on the other side came up and praised Oscar incredibly, saying that he would practice hard in the future and fight Zhao Wuji. After all, he was an attack-type soul master. Ma Hongjun knew that Zhao Wuji was a strong soul saint. Oscar, as a support system, was able to fight like this with Zhao Wuji, but what about him? When he reaches the 10th level in cultivation and obtains the soul ring, he will be a genuine attack-type soul master. He should be better than Oscar, the auxiliary type, after all. But this was just Ma Hongjun's own inner misunderstanding, and he didn't dare to say it out loud. Although Oscar was from the auxiliary department, the current Oscar could still handle Ma Hongjun. The next days were normal training. Oscar took Ma Hongjun to practice seriously. Now Ma Hongjun's evil fire is still very weak, so there is basically no need to worry about it breaking out. And with Oscar as an example, this kid is practicing very seriously, but when Ma Hongjun really started practicing with Oscar, he realized how terrifying this was, because Oscar was so self-disciplined. Even if he wanted to rest or give up, he couldn't. After all, his teacher Flanders had high hopes for him, but his performance was not as good as an auxiliary soul master. 2 months later, Ma Hongjun broke through to level 10 and became a soul master after obtaining a soul ring. Ma Hongjun was born with an innate soul power of the 9th level, and was only 1 level away from the 10th level. He followed Oscar for 2 months without slacking off. Although the process was hard, the rewards were also great. Moreover, after 2 months of self-discipline and hard work, Ma Hongjun's round belly has lost a lot of weight. It is estimated that Ma Hongjun will be able to lose weight if he persists for half a year. In fact, Ma Hongjun's appearance is not ugly, but rather masculine. In the original work, Ma Hongjun became a handsome guy after losing weight, so Oscar can be regarded as helping Ma Hongjun grow into a male god in advance. Not only can he improve his strength, but he can also become more handsome. Ma Hongjun should be grateful to Oscar, because Ma Hongjun's martial spirit is a bird. It was Flanders who took action this time. Half a month later, Flanders took Ma Hongjun back to Shrek Academy. At this time, Ma Hongjun was already an 11th level soul master and had obtained a good soul ring. Just like the original work, Ma Hongjun's first soul skill is called Phoenix Fire Line. It has an attack distance of 10 meters and can continue to output until the soul power ends. It is very powerful. Moreover, because of the characteristics of evil fire, Ma Hongjun's flames are difficult to extinguish and have continuous damage. Characteristics: Ma Hongjun, who had just obtained the soul ring, had thoughts about Oscar. Although Oscar was now level 18, Ma Hongjun felt that he could have a fight with Oscar after obtaining the soul ring. After all, although Oscar was a thief with an iron rod, Ma Hongjun could attack from a distance, so Ma Hongjun went directly to Oscar and wanted to have a discussion with him. Faced with Ma Hongjun's pride, Oscar just smiled silently in his heart, already thinking about teaching the little fat man a good lesson. In the courtyard of Shrek Academy, Zhao Wuji served as the referee. Oscar and Ma Hongjun stood opposite each other, with a proud smile on Ma Hongjun's face. "Brother Ao, brother, I won't let you go. If you can't hold on anymore, you have to give in early." Ma Hongjun said proudly. Oscar's face was expressionless, and he was thinking about how to beat the little fat guy. After all, his expression really meant he deserved a beating. Both sides released their martial spirits, and the game will begin in 1 minute. Zhao Wuji said from the side, "These are the rules of the regular game." Oscar directly took out the iron rod, placed it across his chest, and watched Ma Hongjun release his martial spirit. Ma Hongjun, Martial Spirit, Evil Fire Phoenix, an 11th level attack-type combat spirit master. As Ma Hongjun spoke, a yellow soul ring rose from Ma Hongjun's feet. Ma Hongjun's body was covered with a layer of flames, and his red hair turned into mohawk-style red hair, like a rooster about to crow, without any trace of a phoenix. Majesty, because he is indeed fat, even though his belly has lost weight. Although he has lost a lot of weight compared to 2 months ago, he was a chubby little guy before, and it still takes a lot of work to lose weight. The game begins. Zhao Wuji said from the side. Ma Hongjun smiled proudly, and the first soul ring under his feet shone directly. Then he opened his mouth and a long flame spurted out, shooting towards Oscar. Oscar was not careless, he used his feet to swim directly. Faced with the scorching flames, Oscar would not be stupid enough to fight head-on. Although Oscar went forward bravely when fighting Zhao Wuji, it was because he knew that his strength was different and his skills were useless, so he chose to fight head-on. Faced with Ma Hongjun's mage attack style, Oscar naturally had a different style of play. Although his soul power level is high, Ma Hongjun's flame power is not weak. Even Oscar does not dare to take it directly. After all, he is only an auxiliary soul master and has no defensive soul skills, so he can only fight a war of attrition. Ma Hongjun breathed flames from his mouth, and changed the output direction as Oscar moved. The flames burned with Oscar, but they were always just a little bit behind. Zhao Wuji shook his head at the side. This Ma Hongjun was too stupid. He didn't know how to save his soul power. If he continued to burn like this, his soul power would be exhausted in a few minutes. Then wouldn't he be at the mercy of Oscar? Just as Zhao Wuji thought, Oscar avoided Ma Hongjun's flames, but never left his attack range, and even deliberately pretended to be burned, allowing Ma Hongjun to continue to output soul power. After only 5 minutes, Ma Hongjun's flames diminished, and then he died. Ma Hongjun coughed twice, and the flames could no longer spurt out. There were fine beads of sweat on Ma Hongjun's forehead, and he looked at Oscar with some exhaustion. At this moment, Oscar rushed over with an iron stick and hit him head-on. Ma Hongjun screamed in pain and immediately surrendered, even asking Brother Ao to spare his life. Oscar took back his iron stick, looked at Ma Hongjun with a smile, and said, "Young man, you have a lot to learn. Don't think that you can do whatever you want with the soul ring, you know." Ma Hongjun nodded repeatedly and said that he would never dare to do it again. Zhao Wuji smiled and said nothing. He found that Oscar was more than qualified to teach Ma Hongjun without his help. Please collect and recommend. The contract has been signed, and the follow-up will require the strong support of Brother Meng. What about recommendation tickets, monthly tickets, etc.? It would be better if you get more rewards. Chapter 6: The Second Soul Ring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With Oscar taking Ma Hongjun to practice, Ma Hongjun had no idea of going to Gulan to find his sister. Moreover, Ma Hongjun was only 6 years old now, so even if he had the intention, he had no means. Another 5 months passed by in a flash, and Ma Hongjun's soul power increased by 2 levels. It takes about 2.5 months to increase 1 level on average. He is now a 13th level soul master. Don't think this achievement is exaggerated. In the 7 months since he entered school, Ma Hongjun has practiced with Oscar every day without slacking off. Even if he can no longer persist, Flanders and the others will encourage and urge him. Now 7 months have passed, and Ma Hongjun has not only become a level 13 attack-type soul master, but has also successfully lost weight. He has transformed from a slutty little fat guy to a somewhat masculine and handsome boy. Although Ma Hongjun's appearance is not as good as Oscar's, it is enough to attract some little fans. Oscar's improvement has to be more modest. He has only improved by 2 levels and has just exceeded level 20, upgrading 2 levels in 7 months. This speed is actually very fast for Oscar, because now Oscar is only 8 years and 9 months old, and there are still 2 or 3 months to reach 9 years old. If things go on like this, Oscar may really able to break through level 30 at the age of 12, of course. In addition to practicing, Oscar is mainly studying pharmacology and some theoretical knowledge. He has even started to buy medicinal materials and prepare some medicines by himself. After all theories are obtained through practice. Now that Oscar has enriched his theory, he can naturally start practicing. Oscar's breakthrough naturally makes Dean Flanders extremely happy, because not only does this set a record for the Academy, but after Oscar obtained the Soul Ring, he has another kind of sausage to auction, which is definitely worth a lot of money. Economic sources. Although it is best to keep a Soul Master's soul skills secret and use them as trump cards, Oscar's current soul skills are only relatively simple recovery skills, so it doesn't matter if they are put up for auction. So after breaking through level 20, Oscar went to the Star Forest again under the leadership of Zhao Wuji. This time, he was familiar with the journey. Oscar lost the greenness of the first time and basically spent money along the way. Because Oscar was now considered a financial sponsor, he naturally would not wrong himself. He rented a luxury carriage and hired a coachman. Oscar and Zhao Waoqi enjoyed themselves in the carriage. Not to mention how happy Zhao Waoqi was. Arriving at a small town outside the Star Forest, Oscar and Zhao Wuji rested for the night before setting off leisurely the next day. Oscar has already figured it out. Since there is a soul saint like Zhao Wuji, the choice of soul ring must be the best, otherwise such a good thug will be blinded in vain. Oscar has continued to exercise in the past few years, and his physical fitness has improved greatly. This time Oscar plans to find a soul ring that is close to 1,000 years old to increase the life of his second soul ring. Although Oscar, who has a soul ring that is over 1,000 years old, also wants to try it, he is not absolutely sure, so for the sake of safety, Oscar chooses to have a soul ring within 1,000 years. Because Oscar asked Zhao Wuji to use the pressure of soul power to test his physical fitness, Oscar found that his body was around level 28, which was enough to absorb 1,000-year soul ring, but he had no experience in absorbing 1,000-year soul ring. In addition, the second 1,000-year soul ring is still too conspicuous for him now. If he wants to wait quietly until Tang San arrives without any accidents, Oscar can't be too stunning, so after thinking about it, Oscar still chooses the second spirit ring. The second soul ring is close to the 1,000-year level. After all, even this is enough to improve him, not to mention that even if he continues to develop step by step, he will be able to increase the life of his soul ring when he takes the divine examination in the future. Therefore, Oscar did not choose the second 1,000-year soul ring. After all, Flanders and the others might not agree to this. After all, there will be qualitative changes after each level, so Oscar is willing to choose the century-old soul ring. After all, life is the most important. Entering the soul beast forest, Oscar followed Zhao Wuji directly to the area of soul beasts that are good at detoxifying. Oscar's second soul ring requires this type. Such a combination of soul skills is actually perfect. The first soul skill is recovery, and the second soul skill is immunity and detoxification. Basically, it is all-round assistance to keep oneself in a safe state. Then he can acquire attack soul skills in the future. The combination is perfect. Moreover, Oscar does not have much attack power in the early stage. Just relying on a stick is of little use. The most it can do is protect himself from assassins. It is really difficult to fight against the enemy. Fighting doesn't mean just going up and beating them without thinking. Those attack-type soul masters not only have strong attack power in their souls, but also have all kinds of strange soul skills to assist attacks. It is definitely unrealistic for Oscar to go up and beat them with a stick. Therefore, Oscar learned stick skills not to carry on the field, but to protect himself and provide better assistance to his teammates. Who makes him just an auxiliary soul master. After searching for a full week, Zhao Wuji and Oscar stopped in a bamboo forest, and Oscar located a 980-year-old bamboo. The bamboos are all green, and the leaves are like sharp emerald blades, which is breathtaking. Each bamboo section is dotted with purple and gold spots, which looks very visual and beautiful. This kind of bamboo is called purple gold sword bamboo. It is invulnerable to all poisons and has immune function. It is basically immune to all negative effects. The older it is, the stronger its ability is. The purple gold sword bamboo can also concentrate its soul power to attack as sharply as a sword, and its attack power is not weak. The purple gold sword bamboo can be regarded as a top-notch existence among plant-type soul beasts. Whether it is its several talents or its own strength, it is among the best at the same level. Although there are not many purple golden sword bamboos in this small area, with their own strong strength, they also firmly occupy the entire surrounding territory. The century-old purple gold sword bamboo may not be able to withstand the poison of a 10,000-year level soul beast, but it can grow. This kind of soul beast perfectly meets the requirements of Oscar's soul skills. It was not in vain that Oscar and Zhao Wuji searched for a week. It has to be said that hard work will always pay off. Oscar now fully understands the meaning of this sentence. After locking the target, Zhao Wuji rushed directly into the bamboo forest and uprooted the purple gold sword bamboo that Oscar was interested in. However, he did not kill it. After all, only those who kill the soul beast can absorb the soul ring of the soul beast. When Zhao Wuji rushed into the bamboo forest, the purple gold sword bamboos who felt the threat gathered their soul power. The countless green-like emerald bamboo leaves seemed to have turned into flying swords, locking Zhao Wuji. Then it launched a terrifying flying sword attack. It's just that Zhao Wuji is now a strong soul saint. His soul power surges on his body. The yellow first soul ring lights up. The soul power of the soul saint level suddenly turns into a shield-like defense, which completely destroys Zhao Wuji's defense power. Raised to the top, this is Zhao Wuji's first soul skill, Fudo Mingwangshen. Zhao Wuji just carelessly brought out the purple gold sword bamboo that Oscar was interested in from the purple gold sword bamboo forest. Coming to the side, Oscar took out a dagger and stabbed it into Zijin Jianju's lifeline, killing him. The advantage of having a boss is that you don't have to do any work at all, you just need to give orders. Oscar smiled with satisfaction as he looked at the yellow soul ring that was gradually condensing. The soul ring was dark yellow with a hint of purple, and it was obviously close to the 1,000-year level. Zhao Wuji looked solemn on the side and said, "Xiao Ao, absorbing soul rings is not child's play. Are you sure you want this?" "Teacher Zhao, don't worry, I won't do anything I'm not sure about. I will definitely give you a surprise." Oscar nodded seriously. Over the past 2 years, Zhao Wuji and the others have become familiar with Oscar's maturity and stability. Oscar is a very independent person. Although Zhao Wuji has never heard of leapfrogging to absorb soul rings, but looking at Oscar's firm eyes, Zhao Wuji no longer dissuade. Of course, the most important thing about this was that Zhao Wuji agreed after testing the limit of Oscar's ability to withstand soul power pressure. At that time, Oscar had just broken through level 20, and he was already able to withstand a full 28th level of soul power pressure. Even a beast martial soul master can only withstand 2/3 of the soul power pressure brought by a high-level soul master. As an auxiliary soul master, Oscar is able to withstand soul power pressure that exceeds the 8th level of his own soul power. You can imagine how terrifying Oscar's physical fitness is. This is also the reason why Zhao Wuji did not dissuade him too much. "I will protect you. If you can't do it, don't force it. Your talent shouldn't be wasted here." Zhao Wuji said seriously. Zhao Wuji did not warn Oscar too much, because over the past 2 years, Zhao Wuji had become clear about Oscar's temper. As long as it was Oscar's decision, he would not be able to pull back 10 cows. Oscar nodded, then sat cross-legged, summoning the martial soul to pull the soul ring. With the pulling of Oscar's soul power, the Zijin Jianju's soul ring slowly came to Oscar's head, and the terrifying soul power was released. The leapfrog absorption is different from the ordinary absorption of soul rings, and the pressure is much greater. Even though Oscar has confidence in his own body, he still does not dare to be careless and carefully controls every ounce of soul power to strive for perfection. 5 hours had passed since he absorbed the soul ring. When the deep yellow soul ring completely landed on Oscar's body and circled around, Zhao Wuji breathed a sigh of relief. Oscar stood up, majestic soul power surged around, and a full 20-level soul power wave came, which was directly increased by 2 levels. Teacher Zhao, it's successful. Oscar said with a smile to Zhao Wuji. You brat has created a miracle in the Soul Master world. The second soul ring of 980 years is indeed a genius with innate soul power. Zhao Wuji also praised excitedly. Being able to witness such a miracle made him as excited as Oscar. How about the soul skills? Zhao Wuji asked. Teacher Zhao, my second soul skill is very powerful. Oscar replied, my second soul skill is called the secret detoxification sausage. After taking it, it can detoxify the poisons of soul masters and soul beasts whose soul power is lower than mine. Moreover, as my strength increases, the effect of my soul skills will also increase. The most important thing is that for 5 minutes after taking the secret detoxification sausage, you will be immune to all negative effects from others and any restrictive soul skills will be useless, but only for 5 minutes. Oscar told Zhao Wuji the effects of his soul skills in one breath. Zhao Wuji was shocked and thought loudly. Is he immune to all negative effects? Can it detoxify? Xiao Ao, your soul skills are too powerful. Zhao Wuji couldn't help but marvel. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 7 Externally Attached Soul Bone. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After hearing the introduction of Oscar's soul skills, Zhao Wuji was even more excited than Oscar, because he fully understood how powerful it was to detoxify and remove any negative effects. I won't talk about detoxification, it's easy to understand. As for the removal of any negative effects, although it only lasts for 5 minutes, there is no level limit for this effect of Oscar's second soul skill. And for a soul master, 5 minutes is enough for a soul master to fight at the same level. Got a huge advantage, because the negative effects include dizziness, deceleration, weakness, charm, and many other weird negative effects. Flanders had once encountered a soul master who was good at controlling such weird negative effects, and Flanders suffered a lot because of it. Teacher Zhao, I have a special harvest. Oscar continued without waiting for Zhao Wuji's praise. Harvest? Is it soul bones? Zhao Wuji was shocked. Apart from soul bones, Zhao Wuji couldn't think of any other gains. Oscar smiled knowingly, unable to hide the excitement on his face. He slowly raised his left hand, and a sharp sword made of azure soul power slowly appeared. The entire left hand was like a sharp sword, which was as long as 1 meter. Length. Teacher Zhao, take the move. Oscar strode forward, raised his left arm and cut it down directly. This time, Zhao Wuji did not catch it with his bare hands, but possessed his martial spirit, and a pair of thick bare paws appeared and caught it. Oscar's attack, although Zhao Wuji was possessed by the martial spirit, he still felt a stinging pain. He found that white marks appeared on his thick bare paws. So sharp. Zhao Wuji marveled inwardly. Xiao Ao, what are you doing? Zhao Wuji asked in surprise. Teacher Zhao, as you can see, in addition to the powerful second soul skill, I also obtained a soul bone, and it is an external soul bone and does not occupy any position of the 6 main soul bones. Oscar explained happily. Road. External soul bone. Zhao Wuji was more than surprised, because he found that Oscar brought too many surprises. Zhao Wuji had heard about the miraculous power of externally attached soul bones, which were special soul bones that could integrate with the soul master and continuously evolve as the soul master's strength increased. When a piece of externally attached soul bone grows up, it can be compared to a 100,000-year-old soul bone. Oscar not only obtained a powerful auxiliary soul skill, but also an externally attached soul bone with powerful attack power. The quality of the azure long sword formed by condensing this soul power was definitely not lower than that of the same level of attack weapon soul. Master's martial spirit, this will be Oscar's ultimate move. Teacher Zhao, this external soul bone is my left palm. I feel that the strength of my left hand has been significantly improved, and this external soul bone has also brought me unexpected gains. Oscar explained, this position had been taken care of by Zhao Wuji, and it could be said to be very safe now, so Oscar directly showed off his newly acquired abilities. I call this externally attached soul bone the Azure Jade Sword, and it also comes with two properties, which are condensation and cutting. When using the externally attached soul bone, my strength and attack power will increase by 5%. 10. Oscar said, waving the Azure Jade Sword in his left hand. Condensation means that my soul power can be compressed and condensed into sword energy. Its power and hardness are equivalent to those of an attack-type soul master of the same level. Cutting increases the attack power and makes it sharper. Its attack power is higher than that of an ordinary attack-type soul master. Even more so, Oscar said. Zhao Wuji was stunned. Although it sounded very powerful, it was not as good as it actually was. Zhao Wuji said directly, Xiao Ao, use your external soul bone to attack me again to test its power. It's what I asked for. Oscar also wanted to prove the power of this Azure Jade Sword. Oscar's left arm was completely wrapped in Azure Soul power, and the Azure Jade Sword held in his left hand was even more sharp. Oscar attacked Zhao Wuji directly, and the sword was so sharp that it was difficult to block it. Zhao Wuji's bare paw collided with the Azure Jade Sword. Although he was not hurt, the stinging pains represented the extraordinary power of Oscar's soul bone. Although Oscar has never learned swordsmanship, he has learned the dragon pattern stick technique from Li Yusong for nearly 3 years. Although he does not have any sword moves, the Azure Jade Sword in Oscar's hand is endlessly sharp, and every time he makes a move, the swords all carried a fierce aura, and they were played with style. Suddenly, Oscar warned, Teacher Zhao, be careful. Then Zhao Wuji saw Oscar's left arm raised straight up. The Azure Jade Sword in his hand turned into Azure Soul Light and spread around. Then a 1-meter-long Azure Jade Sword was on Oscar's left side. The arms gathered around them, reaching a total of 10 handles. Nah! Zhao Wuji exclaimed inwardly, is he using the attached soul bone as a martial spirit? I saw Oscar shouting, go. 10 jade swords attacked instantly, surrounding Zhao Wuji and attacking his head, eyes, nose, ears, and lower body in all directions. Zhao Wuji was not careless and directly released his first soul skill, Fudo Mingwangshen. With a roar of a bear, the jade swords were blocked one by one and then dissipated in the air. Oscar quickly took out a stored super recovery sausage from the soul guide to restore his soul power. This blow directly consumed half of his soul power, although it is far less domineering than the 10,000 swords returning to the clan of sword fighter Luo Qiansun. When I watched the anime in my previous life, the power of the 10 jade swords should not be underestimated. Zhao Wuji used his first soul skill to resist them. It's not that Zhao Wuji can't defend without using soul skills. After all, Zhao Wuji is also at level 74. With the soul power level gap between him and Oscar, even if he doesn't use soul skills, Oscar can't hurt him. At most, he will be weakened. Just shed some of his bare fur. The reason why he used soul skills was because Oscar's attacks were too tricky, and he also wanted to use soul skills to test the power of Oscar's skills again. Xiao Ao, this external soul bone of yours is fine. It can be used as half a martial spirit. Zhao Wuji took back his martial spirit and praised, the attack power of this move is not weaker than that of attack weapons of the same level. He is a martial soul master, and even a bit stronger. Teacher Zhao, I have the same idea. I think I can develop it well. Maybe I can also be regarded as a half-attack type soul master. Oscar withdrew the Azure Jade Sword and replied with a smile. Let's go back to the academy to tell that old boy Flanders the good news and make him happy too. Zhao Wuji said with a smile, then the two of them embarked on the return journey. Because this time the harvest was extraordinary, Oscar himself was extremely excited. When I read the original work in my last life, I lamented that Tang San was so unlucky. At level 30, he got the 8 spider spear, an externally attached soul bone. But now he should be considered possessed by the European Emperor. right? How could Oscar not be excited about receiving such a powerful and handsome external soul bone after only his second soul ring? And the most important thing is that having this external soul bone directly makes up for Oscar's shortcomings in early combat effectiveness. From Oscar's point of view, although this azure jade sword cannot absorb soul rings and obtain soul skills like the weapon soul, with its two special skills of condensation and cutting, if it is developed properly in the future, Oscar may be able to possess it himself. The combat effectiveness is not weaker than that of the attack-type soul masters of the same level. However, Oscar has never systematically learned swordsmanship after all. In the future, he will still need step-by-step training and experimentation to accomplish what he wants in his heart, but now that he has this attack method, it means that his path will be smoother in the future. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 8 Return, Flanders shocked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After going round and round for half a month, Oscar and Zhao Wuji also returned to Shrek Academy. It took almost a month to go back and forth, and Oscar was less than 2 months away from his 9th birthday, and now, when he was not yet 9 years old, he was already a level 22 soul master. He was still nearly 38 months away from the goal that Oscar had set to break through level 30 before he was 12 years old, and he is still 8 levels away from level 30. If calculated on average, he only needs to advance to a level every 4.7 to 5 months, which is nearly 5 months, and he can complete it before he is 12 years old. This goal, but judging from Oscar's current cultivation speed, which takes an average of 3 to 4 months to advance to one level, he may be able to break through level 30 when he is about 11 years old. Of course, the cultivation of a soul master will become slower and slower in the later stages, but Oscar's efforts will never decrease, so even so, excluding some special circumstances, Oscar can break through level 30 before he is 12 years old. Don't think this is an exaggeration. After all, the Oscar in the original work is different from the original one. The Oscar in the original work broke through level 30 as a food-type soul master at the age of 14. Although he is a genius, the Oscar in the original work is completely inferior to today's Oscar. Oscar effort. Nowadays, Oscar spends almost all his nights practicing. Although he exercises in various ways and learns various knowledge during the day, he still practices if he has time. As a super genius with innate soul power, although there is no certainty about the future, at this stage, there is almost no bottleneck in Oscar's cultivation, because his upper limit is there. Even if he doesn't have any heavenly materials and earthly treasures, his cultivation speed cannot be improved, but as long as he practices hard, his cultivation will continue to improve. This is undoubtedly gratifying for Oscar, because then he does not need to spend time and painstakingly looking for treasures to improve his talents like the male protagonist in the novel. After all, although his talent is not the strongest in the mainland, as an innate soul master with full soul power and an innate soul master with full soul power in the food department, his talent is already considered invincible at this stage. In the later period, if the mainland does not change much, then Tang San will come to Shrek Academy just like the original plot. Then I will only need to have a good relationship with him like the original. After all, although this kid wasn't very nice to outsiders, to be honest, he was pretty good to the Shrek 7 devils and several teachers. As for the issue mentioned by many on the internet that there is Yao Lao in the Endless Fire realm, but there is no Yu Shaojiang in the God realm, in fact, from Oscar's point of view, there is something in it. So Oscar won't comment too much, and although Oscar wouldn't lick Tang San, he actually didn't have much disgust towards him. After all, it was just a novel and now he has come to this world, and it is precisely because of this that Oscar discovered that there is actually a difference between novels and the real world, because the novel is described by the author from the perspective of the protagonist, and not much is written about other characters. The real world is more exciting. Soon, Oscar shook his head and stopped thinking about it. After all, no matter how he thought about it now, he was just imagining everything and it would take time to verify everything. That's why Oscar worked so hard, just in case Tang San didn't come to Shrek in the future. What if he comes and doesn't give me the fairy herbs? Oscar is actually aware of these unexpected situations. After all, things like his time travel have happened, so it is normal that there are more plot lines that are not in the original work. Zhao Wuji led Oscar towards Flanders' office. Suddenly he saw Oscar shaking his head and asked, "What's the matter, Xiao Ao, Oscar just smiled and replied, "It's nothing, Mr. Zhao, I just thought of Hongjun. I'm not here these days, and that kid will probably be lazy. I was just thinking about how to bully him, but thinking about him, he has still been working hard these past few months. Yes, so I decided to forget it." Hearing Oscar's words, Zhao Wuji chuckled, "You are so mature when you are less than 9 years old. If you hadn't been able to use old men like us, I would have thought you were also a teacher at Shrek Academy." Oscar smiled slightly when he heard this. "Hey, isn't this what I, a student, should do? Besides, I am the oldest in the college now. As the eldest brother in the college, I should supervise the juniors." Zhao Wuji smiled with satisfaction after hearing this. "Xiao Ao, you are the most mature and stable student in the more than 20 years since Shrek was founded. If you can inherit the school in the future." When Zhao Wuji said this, he glanced at Flanders's dean's office, which was already close at hand, and whispered in Oscar's ear, "It must be better than that guy Flanders." Oscar smiled when he heard this. "Teacher Zhao is teasing me again. If our dean hears this, your meager salary will be infringed again." When Zhao Wuji heard this, his expression suddenly changed. "Hey, I'm telling you, kid, my old Zhao is so nice to you, but you just want to harm me, right?" At this moment, the door to Flanders' dean's office suddenly opened. Flanders was holding a thermos cup and still wearing his pair of black-framed square-lens glasses, with a calm expression. When the old man opened the door, he saw Oscar and Zhao Wuji who had already walked to the door. He was secretly delighted and asked, "How is the harvest this time? How about Xiao Ao's promotion?" Zhao Wuji saw Flanders coming out, gave Oscar a wink, then went up and hugged Flanders, and took him to the office. "Boss, Xiao Ao's luck is really bad this time, let's talk to you slowly." When Flanders heard this, joy appeared in his eyes again, and he stared at Oscar as if he saw hope. "Talk about it." When Zhao Wuji told Flanders about the effect of Oscar's second soul skill and the external soul bone, Flanders' whole body immediately froze after hearing this, and the teacup in his hand seemed to be still. Then Flanders's face showed visible excitement. Not to mention Oscar's external soul bone, his second soul skill was already very unparalleled. Not only can it remove toxins of the same level, it also has immunity to negative effects for 5 minutes, and this negative effect immunity has no level limit. With this function alone, Oscar's second soul skill is definitely enough to be used as a trump card when encountering this type of soul master. You must know that there are over 100,000 soul masters on the mainland, and there are various types of martial souls, many of which are disgusting martial souls. Soul skills can add many negative buffs to others. It can be imagined that if Oscar's second soul skill was put up for auction, the effect would be surprisingly good, because in addition to dealing with their own enemies, many soul masters will also go to the soul beast forest, and in the soul beast forest, this negative effect immunity is even more necessary. But Flanders is not so superficial. What really excites him is Oscar's external soul bone. Having lived for almost 50 years, he has seen soul bones before, but this is the first time for him to have an external soul bone, and he also knows the specialness of the external soul bone. It is a special soul bone that does not have the attributes of the 6 main soul bones, and can evolve as the soul master's strength increases. If the soul master himself is strong enough, then it is not impossible for this external soul bone to grow to 100,000-year level. Therefore, the externally attached soul bone has a title, that is, it is the first soul bone under the 100,000-year-old soul bone, and is second only to the 100,000-year-old soul bone, and the most important thing is that this externally attached soul bone will hardly be coveted by others, because once this thing is fused with the soul master, it becomes a part of the soul master. Killing people and taking bones is basically useless for externally attached soul bones. Does not exist, of course, if your external soul bone is too evil and the bad guys find out about it. It is possible that they will kill you without letting you grow up. Fortunately, although Shrek Academy is made up of a group of weird people, they really treat their students well, so Oscar doesn't have to worry about this for the time being. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Chapter 9 Ma Hongjun's Changes. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After a long time, Flender finally calmed down, and when he thought that Oscar was now a student of his academy, he couldn't help but feel the juice in his heart. After all, the best way to build the reputation of the academy is to cultivate a talented student, Oscar said at this time. Why don't you do this, Dean? I just said that I'm afraid you won't be able to feel the power of my external soul bone. I'll go find Hongjun and spar with him. After hearing Oscar's words, Flanders nodded in agreement. After all, he really wanted to see how powerful Oscar's soul bone was. Seeing Flanders nodding, Oscar went to find Ma Hongjun. As for the exposure of the externally attached soul bone, Oscar is not worried now. After all, there are no other teachers in this academy, and the overall cohesion is still no problem. They know that Oscar's externally attached soulbone not only will not have unnecessary thoughts, on the contrary, he was as happy as Flanders, so as soon as Oscar left, Flanders said to Zhao Wuji, "Old Zhao, call Xiao Xian and the others here and take a good look at the talents of our Shrek students." Flanders himself couldn't help but smile and began to think about the future. An auxiliary soul master has the combat power of an offensive soul master. Hee. Our Shrek Academy will probably become famous in the mainland in the future. Zhao Wuji gave Flanders a helpless look and said to him, "Old Zhao, you just came back, you can order me around." How ridiculous. However, Zhao Wuji didn't refute anything, nodded and left. There is no way, who makes someone else be the dean, but I am just a deputy dean. Oscar went directly to the dormitory after coming out of Flanders' office, because when he came back, he and Zhao Wuji passed by the classroom and did not see Ma Hongjun. With this kid's personality, he's probably sleeping in the dormitory right now. Ma Hongjun didn't have the habit of locking the door, so Oscar pushed open his room and saw Ma Hongjun writing furiously on the desk. Hearing the noise, Ma Hongjun turned around and saw Oscar pushing the door open, and then said happily, "Brother Ao, you are finally back. I have missed you so much this month since you were gone." Oscar smiled when he heard this, walked to Ma Hongjun and took a look at what he had written. He found that it actually contained various theoretical knowledge about soul beasts. Oscar couldn't help but feel a little more happy. After all, I have been training this boy for so long, and now I have finally developed good habits for him, so it is natural to be happy. "You kid, it seems you haven't been lazy this month when I wasn't here, that's good." Oscar praised directly. Hearing Oscar's praise, Ma Hongjun felt so sweet in his heart that he was even happier than Flanders praising him. I saw Ma Hongjun chuckle. "Hey, brother Ao, you don't know, I have worked hard this month, and I just broke through level 14 yesterday. Yeah, I just happened to have obtained the second soul ring. Why don't you come with me to practice?" Oscar said. Ma Hongjun hesitated after hearing this. The scene of being drilled by Oscar in the past few months seemed to be vivid in his mind, but he quickly nodded firmly. "Okay, this month I asked the teacher to give me extra meals and exercise. I am no longer the same person I used to be. I will definitely impress you, brother Ao." After hearing Ma Hongjun's words, Oscar did not doubt it, but what would happen even if Ma Hongjun became stronger? Today's Oscar is no longer what he used to be. With the Azure Spirit Jade Sword, he is already strong enough to go head-to-head with attack-type soul masters of the same level. Even the physical fitness is far superior to that of an attack-type soul master of the same level. With a strength of level 22, he can deal with a level 14 Ma Hongjun. Isn't it easy to catch him? However, Oscar happened to be interested in checking Ma Hongjun's progress this month, otherwise he wouldn't have said that to Flanders, so Oscar also smiled slightly and replied, "Just right, let me see your progress." Then Oscar and Ma Hongjun came to the playground. It was just a playground, but it was actually a larger square. Because Shrek Academy was no longer short of money, it was built much better. There is a soul fighting platform with a diameter of 50 meters in the center of the square, which is not in the original work, and because of Oscar, Flanders had already built this soul fighting platform a year ago, and it was very practical. At this time, Flanders, Zhao Wuji, Lu Qibin, Li Yusong, and Xiao Xian had all arrived and were sitting in the pavilion under the soul fighting platform, seeing the two Oscars. Coming over, Flanders asked Ma Hongjun, "Hongjun, Xiao Ao is now a great soul master. Do you have confidence?" Flanders did not tell Ma Hongjun that Oscar already had the strength to rival an attack-type soul master. because this was also a lesson that their Shrek students needed to learn, that is, even if you don't know the details of your opponent, if you are facing off, you must go all out. Hearing this, Ma Hongjun smiled at Flanders. Don't worry, teacher, although I am only level 14, I am an attack-type soul master. The move you taught me this month is just for practical use. Flanders nodded with satisfaction after hearing this, and ignored the rest. Ma Hongjun's mentality was very good. At this time, Zhao Wuji walked out and came to the high platform on the edge of the soul fighting platform. The soul fighting platform rises from the ground and is 3 meters high, because only this thickness can barely withstand the pressure of Zhao Wuji and Flanders. Discuss. That's right, not only Oscar uses it, but also Friend and Zhao Waoqi occasionally come back to stretch their muscles. Moreover, this soul fighting platform is made of marble and granite, with a diameter of 50 meters and a height of 3 meters. It is also a huge expense. Fortunately, Shrek Academy is no longer short of money, so this soul fighting platform is just a sprinkling of water. You too, go up to the soul fighting platform. Zhao Wuji stood on the 5-meter-high platform and said to Oscar and Ma Hongjun. After hearing this, the two stepped onto the soul fighting platform and stood facing each other 10 meters apart. Obviously, Zhao Wuji served as the referee for their discussion. The two stood still, and Zhao Wuji continued. The soul masters from both sides released their martial souls. This is a necessary process for a regular competition. In addition to allowing the soul masters fighting in the competition to have sufficient time to prepare, it is also to allow the audience to clearly see the martial souls of both soul masters. After all, the competition is not a life-or-death battle, it is all about viewing. After Zhao Wuji finished speaking, Oscar's silver eyes flashed, 2 circles of yellow soul rings rose up under his feet, and an orange sausage was tightly held in his right hand. Oscar, martial soul, Supreme Sausage, Level 2 Auxiliary Weapon Soul Master. Ma Hongjun couldn't help but be secretly surprised when he heard Oscar's soul power level. He also knew about Oscar. When Oscar obtained the first soul ring, he directly broke through 2 levels in a row, and now he does it again. Is this a genius with innate soul power? Ma Hongjun couldn't help but think in his heart. Fortunately, after getting on the soul fighting stage, Ma Hongjun's whole aura was different. Although he was shocked inside, his face did not show it. I saw Ma Hongjun staring at Oscar with a serious face. Now that he has successfully lost weight, he no longer looks obscene. When he is serious, he still looks a bit temperamental. Ma Hongjun, Martial Spirit, Evil Fire Phoenix, Level 14 Attack-type Battle Spirit Master. As Ma Hongjun spoke, his body surface burned with flames, and his original red mohawk hair now looked more like a phoenix crown. Although he was unable to fly directly due to the evil fire, the flames escaping from his body seemed to have a pair of flame wings. A yellow soul ring rose on the surface of the body. Even Ma Hongjun, who was only at level 14, now had the aura of the phoenix, the king of birds. Oscar looked at the majestic Ma Hongjun and was very satisfied with it. If things continue like this, the perverted little fat man in the original novel will no longer exist, and there will only be the evil fire phoenix Ma Hongjun. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly. Thank you readers for your monthly tickets, thank you. Chapter 10 Ma Hongjun's Self-Created Soul Skills. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Flanders and others in the pavilion looked at Oscar and Ma Hongjun with expressions of relief. Although Shrek Academy only recruits geniuses, over the years, only Oscar has satisfied them the most, and because of Jin Zizeki, Oscar also led Ma Hongjun, so although one of them is only 8 years old and the other is 6 years old, the feeling they revealed made all the teachers couldn't help but feel that these two the child is already over 10 years old. Zhao Wuji saw that both of them had released their martial spirits, and his voice sounded again. The competition begins. As Zhao Wuji finished speaking, Ma Hongjun even acted one step ahead of Oscar. He saw soul power surge on his body, and then flames erupted, pushing him forward 5 meters. There was only 10 meters between the two, but now Ma Hongjun advanced 5 meters again, so there was only 5 meters left. The next moment, the yellow first soul ring on Ma Hongjun's body also lit up the moment he was pushed forward. As soon as he got 5 meters closer to Oscar, Ma Hongjun spit out a 10-meter-long fiery snake from his mouth, which was his first soul skill, Phoenix Fire Wire. It's just that Ma Hongjun's instant burst is very fast, but Oscar knows Ma Hongjun too well, because this trick of using the explosive power of flames to achieve an instant burst was taught to him by Oscar. Just when Ma Hongjun rushed toward him, Oscar, who knew it was too late to retreat, immediately chose to run sideways. Only in this way could he avoid being directly hit by Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Fire line. Although Oscar has level 22, it is impossible to face Ma Hongjun's flames head-on, because the gap in soul power is a gap in soul power, but Oscar himself is not resistant to fire. What's more, Ma Hongjun's flame is still an adherent evil fire, and it will be difficult to extinguish it once it gets attached. Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Fire line spurted out instantly, and when it landed at Oscar's original position, Oscar had already moved 2 meters laterally. However, Ma Hongjun did not give up, and the Phoenix Fire line moved with Oscar. However, he already had a 2-meter time buffer again. At this time, Oscar used his legs and quickly retreated 3 meters back, just avoiding the Phoenix Fire line that swept over him. Although Ma Hongjun's attacks are explosive, the distance is an unsolvable problem. His first soul skill now has an attack distance of only 10 meters, however, Ma Hongjun was no longer at a loss as before. Seeing that Oscar had just dodged his attack, he instantly released his first soul skill, and when the flames on his body erupted again, he was about to catch up, and then continue to output, but at the moment Ma Hongjun rushed forward, the light of Oscar's right soul guide flashed instantly, and a long stick with eyebrows appeared instantly, hitting Ma Hongjun. Seeing this scene, Ma Hongjun's lips slightly raised. A large amount of soul power had already gathered in his right hand. Countless evil fires were wrapped in them, shaped like claws, and he grabbed directly at the iron rod that Oscar swung out. Fire Claw! Ma Hongjun shouted loudly, his face full of confidence. This is what Flanders has given to Ma Hongjun this month according to the method Oscar told him before. A claw-shaped attack formed by condensing compressed evil fire, attached to both hands, forming a single-point explosive attack. It can also be called a self-created soul skill. Ma Hongjun's claws and the iron rod came into contact, and he crushed the iron rod to pieces in an instant, and he continued to grab Oscar's face with unabated force. Oscar was quite surprised when he saw this scene, because although this iron rod is not a martial spirit, it is still made of iron. However, Ma Hongjun, who is level 14, can already unleash such an attack, and he can indeed be called a genius. And the most important thing is that Ma Hongjun must have just learned this move. After all, he had not learned it when he left. Even so, it is already good to be able to unleash such an attack, and just when Ma Hongjun's face showed pride, he was stunned the next moment. Oscar threw the ice iron rod directly, and then the azure light hairpin in his left hand flickered, and a 1 meter 2 azure jade sword appeared instantly, slashing towards his flame claw. However, although Ma Hongjun was surprised, he did not give up. Instead, he attacked even more fiercely. I saw more intense evil fire erupting from his flaming claws, grabbing at Oscar. Crack! The jade sword struck directly on the flame claw, making a ringing sound. Needless to say, the attack power of the azure jade sword, which is already comparable to the spirit of a weapon soul master of the same level, and with the blessing of cutting properties, it almost cut off Ma Hongjun's right hand. The soul power and evil fire on Ma Hongjun's flame claws were seen dissipating at a terrifying speed. Fortunately, Ma Hongjun's burst of power blocked the jade sword strike, thus avoiding the fate of his right hand being cut off directly. Ah! Ma Hongjun was in pain and couldn't help but howl. Brother Ao, what kind of soul skill are you doing? You actually blocked my flame claw. Ma Hongjun panted and looked at Oscar standing in front of him, holding a sky blue jade sword, and couldn't help but ask, with his current strength, using the flame claw once was the limit. Now that the flame claw was broken, Ma Hongjun had no strength to fight anymore and decisively gave up. Hearing Ma Hongjun's question, Oscar smiled slightly. This is a good trick, but it's a little worse than mine. Hearing Oscar's words, Ma Hongjun was speechless, but he also felt a little more admiration in his heart. Not only was Oscar's words powerful, but it was also because Oscar broke his flaming claws with just one sword strike. When Flanders and others in the pavilion saw this scene, their faces were full of joy and disbelief. It was Flanders who was delighted, and Xiao Xian and Li Yusong who were incredible. because Zhao Wuji just told them to watch a show and didn't mention Oscar's external soul bone. Seeing it now, how can we not make them feel incredible? After all, Ma Hongjun's improvement in the past month has been noticed by several teachers. Now that Oscar has defeated Ma Hongjun's attack with his sword, it is enough to surprise them. Lu Qibin, the most knowledgeable person, couldn't help but admire. Xiao Ao is so lucky. The power of this attached soul bone has probably reached the level of a soul master with strong attack weapons of the same level. Hearing Lu Qibin's words, Li Yusong and Xiao Xian both looked surprised, and Flanders even expressed his affirmation of Lu Qibin's knowledge. At this time, Oscar calmly withdrew the Azure Spirit Jade Sword, and said softly to Ma Hongjun, who was already slumped on the ground, "Hongjun, although you have made good progress this month, you still can't slack off. You need to keep up the hard work." Zhao Wuji also smiled when he heard this and ignored the two little guys. After all, the outcome was decided. Ma Hongjun nodded and said very seriously, "Brother Ao, I will work hard." Then Ma Hongjun continued to ask, "But Brother Ao, can you tell me what the sword you just held is? I haven't seen you use soul skills. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me monthly." After reading Tai Ji Meng, remember to click and read. Just turn to the bottom page and then turn again. Please.